You know, I love Christmas, but you know what I also love? New books. Welcome back to Bookmas. Today, I'm going to be talking about my anticipated releases for 2026. Now, I have quite a list. Will I read all of them? No, definitely not. First up, on January 6th, we have The First Time I Saw Him by Laura Dave. Now, this is the sequel to The Last Thing He Told Me, which has been on my TBR for forever, and I am determined to get to it in the new year, so I am excited about this one. On January 13th, we have Woman Down by Colleen Hoover. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that she still writes books. You know, after all the scandal and everything that went on with It Ends With Us, I kind of forgot that she writes books. Still, I was curious about this book, so I did a little research to see what all this book is about. This is literally word for word the first paragraph of the blurb of her new book. Her words used to set the page on fire, but a viral backlash over her latest film adaptation forced Petra Rose to take a hiatus, resulting in missed deadlines and an overdue mortgage. Branded a fraud and fame-hungry opportunist, she learned the hard way what happens when the internet turns on you. And she's been uninspired to write ever since. Well, it seems Colleen Hoover is really taking some real-life inspiration for her newest book. Anyways, this is not actually an anticipated release for me, but I am very interested to see what other people say about this book. She has not released a book since 2022. At the height of her BookTok popularity, she has not released anything since the scandal that was It Ends With Us, the movie, and so I am very interested in seeing how this book is received, but I definitely will not be reading it. On January 20th, we have My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. Eden Fox is an artist about to hit her big break, and one day she goes out on a run, and when she comes home, nothing is as it should be. Her key doesn't fit in the lock, the woman who answers the door looks a lot like her, and her husband is claiming that that is his wife. Earlier in the year, Birdie inherits a house that brings her to the small village of Hope Falls, and then she stumbles upon a clinic that claims to be able to predict someone's death. I'm not really sure how those two plot lines intersect, but I'm sure it is as tangled as a spider web, because this is a psychological thriller, so one can only assume. Now, I have read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and that book was crazy. Not once did I know what was happening or what was going on, so that's why this book is on my radar. On March 3rd, we have Just Friends by Haley Pham. Now, Blair and Declan were childhood friends turned to more when it all blew up in their faces. Years later, Blair returns to their hometown and she applies for a job at a coffee shop that, of course, is managed by Declan. I love Haley Pham. She was the first booktuber that I ever watched and is largely an inspiration for this channel. I have been seeing some mixed reviews of people who received arcs of this book, but I am still super excited to read it. I have a pre-order set to get here day of, so it will be on my shelf. March 17th, we have No Matter What by Cara Bastone. It has been a year since Roz and Vin survived a life-threatening accident, and their marriage has not been the same since. The question is whether or not they will be able to find their way back to each other. I still haven't read any Cara Bastone books. However, I've heard amazing things about her writing and about her books and about the plot lines that she has in said books. So I am determined to read at least one Cara Bastone book next year. Will it be this one? Maybe. April 7th, we have The Escape Game by Marissa Meyer and Tamara Moss. Season 4 of The Escape Game ended horribly when one of the contestants was found dead on the set. Now they're in the middle of season 5, which I'm not really sure why you would go for another season if that happened on your show, but whatever. One of the contestants in this season is Sierra Angelos, who is the younger sister of the girl who was murdered on set, and she has come to figure out exactly what ended her sister's life. I love Marissa Meyer. I love Marissa Meyer. I have read Cinder and Scarlet by her in the Lunar Chronicles series, and I love them. I love that series. I can definitely see that series being a 5-star series for me. She also wrote the Renegades trilogy, which is another series I anticipate being a 5-star series. Now, she does have a co-author in this book, Tamara Moss, so I'm interested to see how this changes the writing dynamic and how this changes the feel of the story, but I am so excited to see what this is about. The idea of it being a game show is so interesting, and I feel like such a unique plot line for a story. On April 21st, we have The Blind Date Agreement by Jessica Cunsolo. Karina is a perpetual fifth wheel with her best friends, and it's getting kind of awkward at this point, so she agrees to let her best friend set her up on a series of blind dates to find her the perfect date for prom. Jessica Cunsolo has previously published the With Me books, the first of which being She's With Me, which I used to read on Wattpad in what I sometimes refer to as the dark days, but that's besides the point. That was one of my favorite books I ever read on there, and so I am excited to see how she's evolved as an author since she was a teenager posting on Wattpad, but I am excited about it. May 5th, we have Unknown Caller by Gillian and McAllister. Simone and her daughter Lucy are extremely close, and so before Lucy is set to start university, they decide to take a trip to Texas to spend some mother-daughter time together. On the first morning in their little cabin, Simone wakes up to find Lucy gone with only a phone left behind. On the other end is someone demanding ransom for Lucy's return. However, they don't want money, they want Simone to do something a lot more sinister. Gillian McAllister also wrote Famous Last Words and Wrong Place, Wrong Time, which are both on my TBR that I really want to read. And so I am very intrigued by the premise of this book. Also, I'm from Texas, so any book that mentions my home state, I am inclined to favor that book a little bit more. On May 12th, we have First and Forever by Lynn Painter. This is a sports romance, which I love. Duffy loves football, but she becomes an internet villain when she has a bad encounter with the mascot of the Minneapolis Coyotes. She gets invited on a morning show and she is eager to try and clear the air, but is surprised when she finds that she is joined by none other than Connor, who is the star player for the Minneapolis Coyotes. And Connor gets encouraged to spend more time with Duffy to do some damage control, except Duffy is not aware of his intentions. So this is an interesting spin on fake dating because only one party is aware of it. But I love Lynn Painter. I have read 3 of her books, Better Than the Movies, Nothing Like the Movies, and The Do-Over, and I loved all 3 of them. And I love sports romance. So this to me is just the perfect combo of a great book. On May 19th, we have The Shippers by Katherine Center. Now, JoJo Burton has always had a problem with dating, and after some introspection, she decides it's because she has a fixation on her childhood crush, who also just so happens to be a guest at JoJo's sister's destination wedding on a cruise ship. In need of some help on her operation, JoJo recruits Cooper, her childhood best friend, that she hasn't seen in 4 years, who she also considers to be the biggest heartbreak of her life. No big deal. Now, Katherine Center is a bit of a hit or miss author for me. I read The Bodyguard in 2023, loved it. I reread it recently and loved it just as much. But I read Hello Stranger, and that one was not my favorite. It's kind of a toss-up on whether or not I will like this book. May 26th, we have Dolly All the Time by Annabel Monaghan. Dolly is a single mom who has to move back to her hometown to help her father save the family home. She runs into Stuart, who is from a very prominent family in the area and is also in a very embarrassing situation. Her first instinct is to help him out. I read 4 Annabel Monaghan books earlier this year and I really enjoyed all 4 of them. So I anticipate loving this book as well. Not to brag or anything, but I did snag an e-arc copy off of NetGalley of this book. So that's super exciting. On June 16th, which also happens to be my little brother's birthday, so a great day all around, we have The 7-Day Garden by Ashley Poston. Sophie Dreer sets off for coastal Maine for a summer job fixing up the grounds of Lilymore House. She finds a mysterious door that leads to an unfinished garden where a man is trapped. The state of the garden is reflective of the unstable future for Lilymore, and Sophie wants to be the one to fix it. Ashley Poston's books are a fun little mix-up on the traditional romance genre because she always includes a little bit of magical realism in them. The Dead Romantics, the female main character can see ghosts, the 7-year slip, the female main character moves into an apartment that can travel 7 years in the past, a novel love story, the female main character stumbles upon a town that only exists in her favorite book series. You know, just mixes it up a little bit. The 7-year slip was one of my few 5-star reads that I've had this year. I'm hoping I can can kind of get the same feeling from this new book. August 4th, we have The Unknown by Riley Sager. Marin Keane is set to star in a movie that revolves around the unsolved mystery of New Avalon, where 5 spiritual mediums disappeared without a trace. The cast travels to the town to gather some inspiration and some research for the film, when of course strange things start happening. I have read so many Riley Sager books. I'd bet that he is probably the author that I've read the most books from that are not in a series. So of course this book is on my TBR. And then finally on August 4th, we have Adversary to the Villain by Nicole Maehrer. This is the 4th book in the Assistant to the Villain series, which follows Evie, who is down on her luck. She just lost her job and is going for a very sorrowful stroll through the woods when she quite literally runs into the villain, who is struck by her and decides to offer her a job on the spot. It is a funny twist on a fantasy world because the villain has an office building and employees and an HR lady and interns that he chases around the castle grounds. And the dynamics between the characters are just so funny. I just recently read Accomplice to the Villain in my Reading Anticipated Releases video, and I finished that book so sad that I have to wait so long to read the next book in the series. I'm just so excited for this book, and August 4th cannot come soon enough. Those are all of the books that I have found that I am excited to read. You know, books from authors that I've loved. There are some authors that I was expecting to have new books come out in 2026, but so far nothing's been announced. Emily Henry has not announced a book for 2026, and Holly Jackson hasn't either. We'll see if they release anything, but these are the books that I am super excited to put on my TBR for 2026. Anyways guys, that is all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know that you enjoy this type of content. Comment down below any of these books that caught your eye that you are wanting to add to your 2026 TBR, and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content in the future. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!